Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to our launch webinar for BRAG, Bank Reconciliation across the group. Really excited to be sharing this with you this morning, our second product release at Mayday. For those who don't know me, I'm David Tuck. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Mayday, and I'm joined by Griff.
Everyone, I'm Griff. I'm co-founder and CTO at Mayday.
Amazing. So, BRAG is our second product, bank reconciliation across the group. And what's the pain that BRAG is in this world to address? So, multi-entity businesses. Sometimes one entity will make a payment or receive money in respect of a bill or an invoice of another group entity. So that bill or invoice having been posted to the other entity's Xero organization, hit their P&L, but for whatever reason, it is paid from the different entity's bank account. That might be for currency reasons. One entity might not have its own bank account. A lot of the time it might just be human error. You know, big businesses, so much going on, it can be easy to forget sometimes, and just out of practical ease, make the payment out of a different account with a different payment card. The result is a lot of pain, a lot of switching between Xero organizations to mark the relevant bill, find it, mark the relevant bill, an invoice as paid, then come back post to the relevant loan account. A lot of time, at best, it's inefficient and painful. At worst, we've got the risk that a bill could get paid twice because it's paid by another entity in the group, but because of the challenges of multi-entity bank rec, it's not been marked off as paid, and so it still looks like it's outstanding, and it goes and gets paid again. So this was the pain that BRAG is in this world to address. And Griff, you and I sort of discovered this really kind of by accident with one of our early users for Mayday Recharger, speaking to Tanya and Lucinia about their multi-entity pains. And yes, they had a need for Recharger, but they also had this really significant volume of multi-entity, cross-entity bank rec transactions that were taking place. I think it was a really interesting story about how, well, I say we in the looser sense of the word, but you kind of conceived of the solution that became BRAG.
Yeah, it was a fun product challenge, because obviously when you see a problem like that, you know, the natural instinct is to go away and build your own app, kind of as we did with Mayday Recharger. You know, it lives on its own domain, it has its own UI. You log into that, you do what you need to do in that application, and then you log out and you're done. But what we came to realize really, and what we really wanted to do, was make this incredibly painful process as easy as possible for our customers. And what that really meant is to put the product where they already are, which is on the Xero bank rec screen. Xero is already doing a great job of sort of reconciling against invoices or matching against invoices within a single entity. What if we found a way to provide the exact same functionality on the exact same screen, but across all the different entities within your group? And so when we sort of thought about the problem like that, it became quite clear to us that BRAG shouldn't be a separate UI, a separate website, a separate application that you log into. It should be some way, we should find some way of extending the screen you're already on and making that process just even more efficient. So that's Amazing. How we ended up with BRAG as a browser extension. And yeah, that was sort of how we got there.
Amazing. And without any further ado, because it is a great testament for reducing friction, designing for what our users are already familiar with and their existing processes, really excited to give a quick demo now of BRAG itself. So, just as a precursor step, you very nice and easily download the relevant browser extension that you need to operate BRAG. And then you do a bit of account mapping in us. So this is a really important foundational step to tell us the relevant loan accounts that you should be posting to. Griff, can I just check the demo's coming through okay?
Yep. Yep.
Amazing. So you map the loan accounts, and that's really all you need to do from a setup perspective. You've got that, you've got the browser extension. Now, this is going to be a familiar scene for you when it comes to the Xero bank rec. We're in Mayday HQ. We've got a couple of bank transactions here. We can't match them to any bills in Mayday HQ. And that makes sense because they are payments of bills of another related entity in the group. So right now, your process will be to go and trawl through your different Xero organizations, find the relevant bill or bills that this relates to, mark those bills as paid to the relevant intercompany account for Mayday HQ, come back into Mayday HQ, all the while trying to remember the relevant bill information, because it's the payment switching between Xero files, trying to remember the relevant bill information so that you can enter it within the transaction when you reconcile it off. And then you're marking this off to the relevant intercompany account in Mayday HQ for the entity or entities whose bills this was the payment of. Now, it's a bit like spot the difference, this, the Xero bank rec that we know and love, with a difference. We've now got the Mayday tab. So this payment to Cactus, which is a bill of Mayday Inc., another related entity, we've matched it. So all the same kind of matching logic that lives within the single entity Xero match applies on a multi-entity level. You can then click to say, yes, that's the bill. Marks that bill as paid to the relevant intercompany account in Mayday Inc., and then pulls through the relevant information about the bill that it is, posting to the relevant intercompany account in Mayday HQ, and you're done. That is the magic of BRAG. Now that's probably, that's your most common use case for BRAG, where you've got one bill, one payment in another related entity. We did some really nice currency matching there to match up the nearly £18,000 in Mayday HQ to the $22,000 in Mayday Inc. But Griff, we also cover all of those wonderful different edge cases that you'll have when it comes to the payment of bills. And I should just stress all of these, the exact same principles here apply in the event that it's a receive money transaction to sales invoices of another related entity. But Griff, tell us about the different kind of more complex edge cases.
Precisely. So it's a fairly common use case that you would batch up your payments to a supplier. So maybe you've got 3 bills outstanding in different entities, and you want to just make one single payment for all of them. We can then sort of match against each of those. You can choose each of those 3 or 4 or however many. We have some customers that have matched up to 9 separate invoices against a single payment. Those could be in completely different entities. They can be in different currencies. We can mark all of those with a single click as paid in those entities to the intercompany. And then when we reconcile it back in this entity, we'll open up that add details screen in Xero's bank rec and add separate line items for each of the invoices that you've marked the payment against, because they might go to different intercompany loan accounts. You might want to keep the separate information so you know exactly what that payment was made up of. So we'll handle all of that for you. And just as easily as it is to mark one invoice as paid, you can mark 4, 5, 7, 20, however many you want.
Amazing. That's that, everyone. That is the magic of BRAG. I think the only other thing I have that I just want to quickly show you, you'll have the reconciliation log within Mayday of all of the relevant transactions that you've used BRAG on to refer to if you ever need it. And beyond that, happy bragging. Amazing. So that is everything brag we've just run through. So it's an extension that adds on top of the Xero Bank Rec page. So you need to download that browser extension, and then you're good to go. You'll have your new best friend, the Mayday tab within the Xero Bank Rec. And that's that. I'll just move on to the Q&A now. So please do fire through any questions that you have within the chat that you'll see below. Just had one come through here about, yeah, this is a great question, about create money, the equivalent of create money transactions in Xero. So yeah, this is absolutely right. What we do right now is effectively a cross-entity equivalent of the match function within the Xero Bank Rec. So there needs to be an underlying bill or bills or sales invoice or invoices in the other related entities to match that bank transaction to. We are looking at and working on how we can deliver you cross-entity create transaction where there is no underlying bill and invoice. So this is something that we're really excited to deliver in the next iteration of Brag. Right now, there will need to be that underlying bill or invoice object in the other Xero organizations to match to. Another question just come through here about browser extensions. So does it work with all browsers?
So currently it's Chrome and Firefox. No, Chrome and Edge it works with. We're working towards Firefox and Safari extensions as well, but we found that Chrome and Edge is the majority of users at the moment, so that's where we focused.
Amazing. Let me just see, I'll give it a few more seconds to see if there are any more questions that come through. Can't see any, so I will just shut down the screen sharing there and say thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're really, really excited to have delivered Brag as the second pillar of our intercompany module for Xero. So if we now step back and think about it, we've got Recharger for where you've got costs and revenues in one entity's P&L, some or all of which need to be recharged to other entities in the group. We've got Brag for the situation where the P&Ls may well be right in the different entities, but for whatever reason, the bill or invoice gets paid to or from a different entity in the group. And then the third and final pillar of our intercompany module will be the intercompany balance sheet side of things, which will be our next product launch webinar that we do. And we're working to have that live by the end of this quarter. So thank you very much for joining us. We're so excited to be working with you to deliver this functionality, to deliver these enhancements in terms of the ability to manage multiple entities in Xero. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.